What is myself and what is the relation to the cosmos? What is myself, me, the self, and what is the relationship? What is its relationship to the cosmos? First of all, let's look what is the self. What are you? Don't be frightened. We're going to strip naked. Why understand what the self is? The self is the name, the form, the reactions, the responses. It's a biological fact. And the profession, the vocation which you would like, which you can't have, marriage, sex, children, the responsibility of children, the responsibility of going to the office for 50 years, earning a footling little sum, and being ambitious to have more, better house, car, blonde, all the rest of it. That's only the outward signs. Then inwardly, what are you? Actually, what are you? Don't theorize, because theorize is no mean. You can say I am God, but or you can say there is light in me, the Atman light, or I am the descendant. If you brush aside all that nonsense, then what are you? If you have no identification with the country, with roots in your family, roots in your knowledge, which is the most dangerous root. If you have roots in a belief, a faith, a continuity, all that is the activity of thought. Right? Right? So what are you? Memories? Follow ruthlessly with yourself. Don't play tricks. What are you? Your memories. Right? Be honest, really deeply ruthless in honesty in yourself, not ruthless somebody else. And you are the past. Right? You are the past. That means you are the story, the history story of mankind. Right? Which is memory. No? All right, second will go on. You are the past, which is memory. You remember your grandmother or grandfather. You remember your chemistry. You remember the various authors, the musicians, the songs. Right? The brain is memory. So you are memory. I know it sounds terrible. So you are the past. And the past is all the time operating, which is memory. You need memory to drive a car, for you to go from here to your house or to your office, to recognize your poor, unfortunate wife or husband. There you need memory. But why carry this immense memory which you have accumulated for 1,000 years or one day? You understand my question? As long as this memory is operating, which is the past, the self, and therefore self-interest, which is the beginning of all corruption, not passing the money under the table. And in this country especially, they're talking about eradicating corruption. Lovely, isn't it? All the politicians are going to work at it. What a lovely crowd it all is. And they are there, self-interest, as each one of us. So the self is put together by thought, which is memory. Then the question arises, if there is no memory, which is no knowledge, then what else is there left? So we begin to invent. The self being reborn, the self, follow? Higher self, lower self, higher consciousness, lower consciousness, how to join the both of them together, how to, all self-interest. Prayers, rituals, you understand? Going to temples. God, what a country this is. So, then the question is, what is the relationship of the self to cosmos? Right? What is cosmos? Not astrophysicist cosmos, or the cosmos of some great philosopher, or the petty little guru. What is cosmos? The meaning of that word. To have cosmos means order. From Greek and so on, it's order. Chaos is the opposite. Cosmos and chaos. There is a relationship only when there is complete order in you. Yes? Because that is supreme order. Universe is in supreme order, which is cosmos. Sunrise and sunset, the star, the full moon, the new moon, the clouds, and the beauty of the sunset. All that is order. And I, who live in disorder, with my self-interest, and I want to find out my relationship to order. See, we are so first, can I put my house in order? Not what is my relationship to cosmos. I can never find out if my house is not in order. But once there is complete order, then then it becomes a theory to you. So my question then is, can I put my house in order? Then I have to discover what is order. Order according to the politicians, according to law, according to the judge, a clever lawyer, or order is something definite. You understand? Please ask these questions, don't go to sleep. Is order a discipline? Is order a habit? Right? Or when there is no disorder, there is order. I don't have to seek order, but I will try to understand, go into what is disorder. Are we moving together or am I just talking? What is then disorder? Disorder basically means conflict. Right? As long as there is conflict, psychologically, there must be disorder. Conflict exists apart from Vedantists and all the rest. Push all those people aside. Conflict exists when there is duality. I want this and I don't want that. I must be this, I am this. So I'm questioning what is duality? Is there a duality at all? Except man, woman, dark. You understand? Is there duality at all? Or there is only one thing? I'm anger, right? Duality arises when I must not be angry, right? So there is only the fact and not its opposite. I wonder if you understand. The fact has no opposite. I can invent an opposite. I'm angry, that's a fact. Right? Then arises how to end it. So I invent, I must not be. Right? So, can I live with the fact that I'm angry? I'll find no excuses, no rationalization, right? I'm angry. I am not different from anger. I am angry. So there is no duality. You understand this? If you really understand this, conflict ends. That is what you are, not what you should be. And what you are can never be changed by thought, right? By circumstance. You're that. You may have a different shirt tomorrow, but what is inside the shirt is always the you. So Disorder exists when there is conflict, when there is war, when there is the better, violence and non-violence. The non-violence is not a fact. You can use it as a political stick. But the fact is that you are violent. Now, to remain with the fact, let the fact answer, not you answer it. I don't know if I've explained that before. Right? And this you don't understand. All right, I'll repeat it again. The moment, or rather, when you begin to answer the fact as though you were separate from the fact, then the problem arises. Right? I am violent. That's a fact. Not only physical violence, violence of hate, anger, jealousy, obedience, imitation, conformity, all that's violence. And remain, you are that violence, you can't do anything about it. Therefore, hold it quietly. You understand what I'm saying? Don't move away from it. It's so. That means you are giving entire attention to that. And then when there is that complete attention to that violence is gone. You can test this out for yourself if you put your heart into it. So can there be order? Not in society, but in yourself first. Because you, as a human being, have made this society. There is no getting away from that. With your greed, with your ambition, with your aggression, with your self-interest and so on. Seeking power, to be at the center of things. Don't you want to be center of things? Next to the Prime Minister. We're all rather childish, aren't we? So, disorder comes to an end, and then there is order. Then when there is that complete order, you will never ask what is my relationship to cosmos. What should we talk about?
I think during the last talks we have talked about the question of intelligence, a bit we have touched it, and how to bring intelligence to our life so that somehow intelligence operates in our life.
Yes,
And I wonder if we could
pursue
that.
Right. Any other question?
When and why will a human being genuinely ask, what is intelligence? Related to this question.
Why do we ask?
And when?
When do we ask what is intelligence?
Genuinely ask.
Yes. Any other question?
I wonder what is the morning meeting for?
Pardon?
What is the morning meeting for?
The morning
What is
meeting.
the main-
What is the morning meeting for?
Good Lord. Any other?
Why do you give these talks?
Huh?
Why do you give these talks? And why do you
Why do
talk?
you give talks? Would you like me to shut up?
Now, what is the purpose that you, if you have any purpose, by giving this talk?
Why do I talk? I really, I'm Is that all?
How do you know all these things you're speaking about?
Hmm?
How do you know all these things you're speaking about?
How do you know when you are becoming intelligent?
Yes. How do you know all that you're talking about? Not from books, not from other people, ancient books or modern books, modern philosophy, and so on. I'll explain all this a little later as we go along. May I? Any other question?
How do you know when you start beginning to get intelligent? Well, start becoming intelligent.
How do you know what intelligence is?
No, in yourself when you start to become more intelligent.
How can you tell? How can you tell you're becoming intelligent?
We'll find out presently.
Yourself.
We were driving the other day, nearly 2 weeks ago, along the Pacific coast of California. It was a lovely morning. It has rained, and in general in California it doesn't rain that part of the year. It was a really lovely morning. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. And the Pacific was blue, light blue, so calm, like a great lake. It was not the same dark blue of the Mediterranean, but it was a light blue, and the sun was just touching it, making a great light on the sea. And in front of our car, Mrs. Zimmeris was driving, and it was a good car. And on the bumper, there was a sticker. The sticker said, "Question authority." So we are going to question authority this morning. And in questioning authority, we're going to find out for ourselves, in the understanding of the very complex problem of authority, we'll begin to see what is for ourselves, what is intelligence. Why we follow, why we accept, why we obey. Whether authority and the acceptance of authority leads to intelligence. We're going to talk it over together, right? Do you question authority? You know what that word means? We won't go into the root meaning of that word, the etymological meaning, but authority. There are various kinds of authority, right? The authority of the government, however rotten that government is, the authority of totalitarian governments, the authority of the policeman, the authority of a lawyer, the authority of a judge, the authority of the Pope, the authority of a priest, right? All those are outside the scale. But inwardly, inside the scale, there is the authority of experience, of one's own experience, one's own convictions. Right? Are you following me? Authority of one's own opinions. Authority of one's own convictions. I'm convinced I am a great man. That becomes the authority. I'm convinced I am a good poet. Where I may be a rotten poet, I'm convinced. I'm convinced about so many things. So, experience, knowledge become one of the sources of authority, right? Right? You follow? Because we're examining a very complex problem. The problem of authority. The authority of the parents, the authority of tradition, the authority of the majority of the voters, right? The authority of the specialists, the authority of scientists. There are several of them. The authority of the Bible and the Indian so-called sacred books like the Bible and so on. The Quran, you know what the Quran is? The Bible of the Islam, of the Islamic world, the Mohammedan world. They accept that completely. Obey. So there are many, many forms of authority. Right? Now, what do you question when you question authority? What are you questioning? The authority of rules, the authority of those educators who tell you, inform you. Now, please discuss this with me. Because in inquiring very carefully, step by step, and going deeper and deeper into this question, you will yourself begin to awaken your own intelligence. You understand? Your own perception, your own how to look at things intelligently without authority. Is this clear? Have I made my statement clear? You're clear? Good. Are you quite sure? The authority that exists outside of us. Law, governments, the majority people who vote for a prime minister, the authority of the policeman, the authority of a lawyer, the authority of a surgeon, the scientists who are building the nuclear bomb, the authority of the totalitarian states, and so on and on, outside. Inside of us, I say I know, that becomes the authority. Or I'm convinced, I'm quite sure my opinion is correct. I'm quite sure my experience tells me what to do. That becomes the authority. Or I have practiced certain discipline and that has become my authority. You understand? So, we are going to question all this. The outer and the inner. The environment and the psychological realm. Yeah. Now let's proceed. We're going to question, not say it's right or wrong, but inquire, question, doubt, ask. Now let's begin. The authority of the policeman. Right? Do you question that?
Isn't it necessary?
Huh?
Isn't it necessary?
But question it first. Don't accept, don't say it's necessary. You see, you've already accepted authority.
There's not very much you can do.
No, you can't do anything about. Huh?
You don't want that kind of authority.
You don't want that kind of authority? Suppose I've been driving in France on the right side of the road, and I come here. I'm used to driving a car on the right side of the road in France, in Austria, and so on. I come here, and I keep to that side, right, to the right side, and there'll be accidents, right? So the policeman says, hey, get back. Go to the left. But if I insist on getting right, he'll give me a ticket. So I accept the authority of a policeman who tells me you're driving in the wrong lane, please kindly go to the left. Because that's the custom, that's the law in this country. Right? Huh?
That's quite sensible.
That's quite sensible. It is. Now, then the authority of governments is much more complex. The authority of the government says you must become a soldier. In Europe, you have to become a soldier for 2 years. Fortunately, not for women. Switzerland, France, in all the European countries, you have for 2 years, you have to be a soldier. Do you accept that authority? No, just think it out. Look at it carefully. They say we have to protect our country. Right? In case of war, we are prepared to fight the enemy. Have you ever heard of that phrase? A general says, we have met the enemy. It is us. Have you heard of that phrase? Have you understood that phrase? We have met the enemy. It's us. We are the enemy to ourselves. That's it. Sorry. So find out. Government says, all governments, the most inefficient government also says, you must fight for the country. There's a tremendous authority. Right? What's your response to that?
If I was in that situation, say I'm a Swiss citizen, and I'm asked to join the army, I wouldn't do it.
No, then you would go to prison.
I'd go to another country.
They won't let you.
Well, there are ways.
Huh?
There are ways.
Oh yes, but you can never go back to your country again.
Yeah.
I know several people who have done this, but they can never go back to their own country. Is that the answer? Question what you are saying.
Perhaps to some degree it is.
I said question, sir. Question what you will do, or is that when government says you must become, you're conscripted, drafted, as they use that word in America, drafted, here the word is conscripted, and you're asked to join the army. That is supreme authority. Do you question that?
By question, do you mean where authority comes from?
No,
Fine.
government says you must.
Okay, what exactly do you mean by question?
I mean by question, we are questioning authority, you understand?
It's not clear. I don't understand.
You accept it.
I've explained, sir, haven't we?
Accept the authority.
I told you, sticker in California. You say question authority. That means, do you accept authority? Where do you accept authority? Where don't you disregard authority? Right? Now, government says to you, as you're a young man, or going to be when you're 18, 19, 20, says you must become a soldier for 2 years. And they give you other alternatives, which are rather boring. Or when there is a war, all the people, grown-up boys and young men, are conscripted. There is that authority of the government. Do you question that authority?
So what can you do about it?
You're going to find out. We're going to find out. But first question is that what you will do when somebody, government, asks you to become a soldier. It's a very complex problem. I don't know if you can go into this. They say we must protect our country, right? Right? So you have to question, what's our country?
It's all that we know around us, our language,
Which means what?
that which we're familiar with.
Take for instance, England says to you, the British government says to you, we are going to be attacked by somebody, and you must put up, train yourself, carry a gun and become most of it, and fight. Now, what's your response? protest.
You probably won't want to.
Huh?
You probably won't want to.
You probably don't want to. Then they either, if you are in Russia or other countries, they shoot you. Or they say if you don't want to, what is your reason?
You don't want to kill another man.
Huh?
You don't want to kill another human being.
So is that your conviction?
No, I think
But careful, I'm asking a question now. He says you don't want to kill another human being. Is that your conviction? Is that your religion? Do your parents also are religious that way? They ask all these questions, oh boy. I'm not inventing them.
What's the point of killing somebody else?
Huh?
What's the point of killing somebody else?
What is the point of killing people?
You-
They have done this.
Like this.
They have done this for 5,000 years and more. The Greeks did it, the Egyptians did it, the Sumerians and Babylonians and so on, so on, so on. Great empires were formed that were killing people. The British Empire, which lasted 150 years, not like the Persian Empire or the Greek or the Egyptian. The Egyptian civilization for 3,000 years undisturbed. That's it. So people have been killing each other for the last 5,000 years and more. So what's your answer?
Perhaps you just become a soldier.
Huh?
Perhaps you become a soldier, but not the attitude of you're doing it for your country. And not with, because if you protest, that the very fact that you're protesting, in a sense, that becomes your own belief, your
all right,
fire.
So you become a soldier and you're ready to kill. And he said so. He said you might become a soldier. That means you're prepared to kill for your country. Right? So wait, go slowly. What's your country? What do you mean your country? We are questioning everything, you understand? What do you mean your country?
it's the American way.
I-
This is the way it's
So-
done.
I mean, you don't go in it patriotically. You don't, if you don't, perhaps you'll be put in prison.
I know you don't go in patriotically, you don't go in for your personal reasons, you don't go, but you're going to kill people.
Pretend not to.
Well-
You don't kill them.
Huh?
Don't kill anybody, just carry a gun.
Then they kill you. Huh? All right. I know a man, he became a soldier, he was forced. And the officer said, I will go to the front. And the soldier, this friend of mine said, all right, but when I get to the front, you're the officer, I'm going to shoot you first. Because you have forced me to that position. And they said, this man is crazy. And they had psychologists and this psychiatrist and professors examined, but kept on repeating that. He said, get back home. But don't play tricks like that. So, you don't say we are questioning. You're not questioning. I am sent government, Indian government, unfortunately they can't, I'm too old. They question me as an Indian and say you must become a soldier. and you must protect your country. I question, I say, what is my country? What do you mean, my country? Right? Question it. Who says it's my country?
Yeah, but they won't listen to that.
Huh?
They won't listen to that.
I'm questioning myself. Forget what the government says.
What do you mean by your country?
That's what I'm asking.
The country that you were born in is supposed to be your country.
Huh? Where you are born,
Yeah, that's supposed to be your country.
You become,
that's supposed to be your country. Why do I say it's my country?
because you've lived there and
Yes,
because
and you say it's your country. And I say it's my country. Right? Why do we say this? Why do grown-up people say this? And the young people say it? And it's been the tradition of thousands of years. My country, I'm going to protect it. It's your country, you're going to protect it. Let's kill each other.
they want to possess it, and if that possession is threatened by another country who feel possessive to their country,
Yeah.
then you obviously are going to try to fight to possess your
I
country.
know, so you're willing to kill for your
No.
country.
It's a bit different. Is that other country, like Russia, if we had a war and they took over our country?
They asked your name.
Tessa.
Huh?
Tessa.
Tasha,
Tessa.
Sasha,
Tessa.
T. Tessa.
Tessa.
Tessa,
Tessa. T.
T,
T.
Tessa, Tessa. You're not following step by step into this. What is my country? Why have the world, the earth, has been divided? In my country, your country. Why?
But it's always that.
Huh?
It's always that. My book, not your book.
So go on and question all this. I don't. Why? Why have human beings, for many thousands of years, have said this is my country and that's your country?
Well, you have,
Why?
okay. Well, you have dark skin, I have light skin. You speak that language and I speak this language. And there's a group of people around me who speak the same language. And a group of people around you speak your language and look the same as you. That's your country and I'm in my country.
Why have we done this?
Well, because you look different.
No. All right.
And language.
Now, are we different?
No, it's just the skin.
Now, that's answering.
Yeah,
I am black.
yeah, on the
You
surface,
are
yes.
pink or blue. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm black and you're pink or white. Now, for that reason we fight each other?
Yeah, and you believe in that.
No, just begin slowly. Do you kill me and I kill you because I'm black and you are fairly near approaching white?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because
No, the questions are. Don't answer. Question first.
I don't think so because I think it's my book and it's a very precious book. And my friend said it's my book and I killed him for my book.
Yes, so
And I think it's not because he's black and I'm white.
quite
It's,
right. So what do you say? Go on. Why do we do that?
because human
Question it. I'm questioning you. You're not questioning it yourself.
Is it not a natural response to want to possess something?
Yes, that's a natural response.
You see a beautiful
Where does it begin? When does it begin? Careful. Question. Don't accept anything natural and say it's natural and stick. Question why it's natural.
I don't think a baby will.
That's begin with the baby. That's quite right. Begin with this small baby. You give him a toy and he holds it, right? And the other baby says, "Ah," and he pulls it away. Right? Haven't you seen this? So there it begins. Mine and yours. And we build this up.
Makes you feel safe.
Huh?
It makes you feel safe, and when people, and you feel threatened when other people want it, so you want to.
That's right. So I'm saying we build this up gradually as we grow. This is mine and that's yours. And I'm going to hold to mine and you hold to yours. So what does it all mean? Question this. I say it's my country. And you say it's your country. Question why people say that.
Well, perhaps through repetition and through education, you see, one has.
Because through education, through history, through propaganda, through everything, you come to the point when you are so conditioned, say it's my country and your country.
Because perhaps,
Huh?
perhaps,
Question first.
Is it not a matter of security?
What's that?
Is it not a matter of security?
Security. Now, you understand what Mr. Smith said. It's a matter of security. I feel secure with my family, right? My father, my brother, my sister, my aunts, I feel they will protect me, they are part of me, right? The family. Then increase it, the community, right? Move it still further, the nation, right? I identify myself first with the family, then with the community, with the society, then with the nation. I'm British, right? That means I feel secure, right? Right, we agree to that? You're quite sure? I feel secure when I say I'm British. And the Frenchman says, I'm French. He's completely secure. The language, the custom, the tradition, the way, the intellectual approach, and so on and so on. French and English. And the German says the same thing, right? That is, they all want security, all of them. Right? Agree? Your question, they all want security.
And they're willing to kill for that.
Huh?
They're willing to kill for that.
That's, so each person says, this is my security and your security. So we're going to fight, which means what?
But then you'll laugh at me. So
Yes, there is no security. Right?
what would you
Just look at it carefully first.
Then your security has been a completely psychological security.
That's it.
Nothing having to do with actually what's happening.
That's right. So you are now, and to learn something, and to become intelligent. Right? You see something. That is, I seek security in the nation, you seek security in your nation, and we're going to fight each other to be secure. And the governments exploit us. People exploit us for that reason. So there is no security as long as there are nationalities.
what can can we do about it?
My darling, wait.
We insist that there is security in the nation.
No, first see, by questioning, we have come to this point that when we try to seek security in the family, in the community, and so on, in the nation, and we also seek in your own way, nation, and they quarrel, when they fight each other, kill each other, security is denied to both of them. Right? So in nationalities, there is no security.
But how do we actually see that?
What?
How do we actually see that? That there is no security in.
It's obvious.
You see,
Nothing can be done unless everybody thinks like that.
What vast majority, 99.9, see, I say yes, we must kill each other to be secure.
But that's just,
Okay, if it's so
Not
obvious.
okay.
No, can I just say something? You know, if it's so obvious, why don't we actually change? I've talked to students and staff after these talks, and they're just as confused as ever. You know, if it really is obvious that there is no security in my belief, my country, and so on.
No, my country, wait a minute, my country. It's an illusion, isn't it?
You mean it's not real?
Seeking, no, it doesn't exist. I want security, and you want security. And we say security lies in my nation, and you say security lies in your nation, and we are killing each other. Right? The United Nations is like that. Right? Right? So, there is no security in nationalities. Right?
But we saw that, but that doesn't change. It's the same after the talk, the same with my country. I saw it's not a security, but it's always here.
He says it doesn't change after you know it's yourself.
You change. Don't bother about the rest. You become intelligent. We are talking about intelligence.
You know, I think there's
When you
this,
see for yourself there is no security in nationalities, that very perception is intelligence. Right?
But he's saying that he has only partially seen it. So when he goes out, he's still going on with it.
Then you haven't seen it. Be as simple as that. If you don't see it's partial. It's like examining a lot of blind people looking at an elephant.
well, why do we all say we do see it?
Then don't be a nationalist. That's intelligence. Right?
I don't know what intelligence is.
What? You explained it. Somebody explained.
Well, someone tell me what intelligence is. Someone.
was there I told you?
No. I've already heard what he says. Now I want to hear what someone in here says.
What, you mean the proper definition of?
No, intelligence. What is it for you?
Me?
Yeah.
You mean, well, I believe what he says.
No, I don't care what
You don't believe
he says. No, will someone care to explain? I mean,
I would say it's an action that is not contradictory. See, I mean, somehow intelligence has to be whole. It cannot be fragmented, you see. I mean, not that you say something and then you do something completely opposite.
but you actually live that way.
No.
So it's just a bunch of words.
Yes.
Then,
But again, don't make it so complicated because Krishnji is just taking one thing and he's talking about nationalism And he says if you drop nationalism, you're beginning to, you're beginning to be intelligent. And that's the beginning of intelligence.
Yeah, but we always
And-
talk about this intelligence, we all want to live intelligently, but we never do. We leave this
This is
room.
up to you.
We do that.
We do that, do we? Really? Do you?
No, do. From now on.
No, I'm not.
Don't ask
From
about
now
someone
on,
else.
do that.
But it is clear that, everyone here knows a bit what is going on and is a bit intelligent, I think. And still, when you see the mess here in school, it's nice to be here, but still, exactly the same problems are here as in everywhere
Alright.
else in the world.
You can understand it, but it's hard to actually do it.
You understand. I have lived in India, and I'm convinced my security is in India. And you are convinced in Pakistan next door that your security lies being in Pakistan. And we fight each other for our security, right? Kill each other. You have no security when you kill me, and I have no security when I kill you. It's so obvious, right? What are we? This is intelligence.
But still, there's this block.
Huh?
I don't actually see it.
Ken, are you nationalistic? Or are you talking about the subtler issues that we...
Perhaps, I don't know. I can see it on the surface, yeah. To believe in nationalism, there is no security in that. But
All right, let's leave nationalism.
still, there's something. I feel I must feel something to actually see this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes, I understand what you mean. People feel very patriotic, don't they? Huh? When this country attacked or went to war in Falkland, people were tremendously excited, very patriotic. And for that reason, go and kill somebody.
You're so small-minded.
Huh? Let's take another thing, perhaps that will explain.
But if you can't see that, what is he going to say?
Huh?
What?
Excuse me?
If you can't see that as intelligence, what can he say?
He's insulting you. He
Sorry.
says, if you can't see that, what the hell can you say? So let's take something else. We are questioning authority. In Christianity, I'm not condemning Christianity, I'm just examining. In Christianity, belief and faith are essential, right? Why have they made belief and faith so important?
Well, if I live according to the Christian belief, I'll live eternally after I die.
Yes, what does that mean? Questioning, what does that mean?
Another kind of security.
Yes. You see, right? If I believe in Jesus, if I believe in Virgin Mary, if I believe in a complete faith, I feel safe. Right? And the Indian, 5,000, says, I believe not in Jesus, but I believe in my own God. He feels perfectly safe. You come along and say, what nonsense this is. Just a belief. You can invent any belief and find security in that. Right? So, is there security in belief?
No.
Right? Why do you say no?
Well, because if you
Wait,
believe,
but you say, yeah, why do you say no? Question, why do you say no?
Because if you believe that and I believe this, we meet, there's no security because we'll blow each other to smithereens.
The same thing with nationalities. Right? That's it. So, understand, vast majority of the Western world accept this belief and faith in their church and all that. They believe that very strongly, which means what? They create an illusion, an image, and believe in that. Which means they are living in illusion. And illusion gives them strength. They feel safe in illusions. Right? Now, have I got illusions? Have you got illusions?
Okay, perhaps I've
And
seen.
wait, question it.
No, I've read that most of our thoughts are controlled by the subconscious, that which we are unaware of.
We'll come to that presently. I'm asking, do you, and I've asked that question, answer it. Do you have beliefs so strongly which give you comfort? Feel, my God, at last I found something that gives me satisfaction. That means, are you living in illusions, right? Have you got illusions?
Yes.
The question is why?
If you think, I'm a good student, and you think, I'm a good student, but then you see another person who's a better student, or who perhaps a bit quicker than you, and you get jealous.
Yes, let's go on.
And so you definitely, if you try to get away from the jealousy by suppressing it, it doesn't work.
I'm asking you, bro, if I call you, bro. I'm asking you, have you got any illusions?
Yeah.
Right? Question why you have.
Because
Question first, realize, first become aware that you have illusions, right? I have illusions, my country. I have illusions that.
Seems like we all have
Huh?
ideas, we all have ideas or illusions of what
So,
we are.
are ideas illusions? Go on, sir. Question, Mama. Are ideals illusions?
yes, because they never deal with what's happening
What's
right now.
that's right.
It's always something you want to be,
Yeah.
as compared to something.
So, ideals, right? And your beliefs are illusions. Why do you have them? Huh?
You're insecure.
Yeah. So, you found security in illusions.
Everyone thinks.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody thinks, but I'm asking you.
Yes, I think too, and sometimes I think,
Not sometimes, now. I'm asking you now, have you got illusions of such kind in which you are living, with which you are living? Now please understand why we are questioning. We are questioning all these things by understanding them, realizing their nature, and becoming intelligent. If a man lives in kind of false illusions, he's not intelligent. Right? So we are trying to find out what is supreme intelligence. Supreme intelligence is to have no illusions. That's only the beginning of it. Right? Have you got illusions?
Well, I've made an illusion of
Huh?
intelligence,
Huh?
I think that if I find out what intelligence is, I'll be completely by myself.
Hold on. I might join you.
And that scares the hell out of me.
I might join you. All of us might join you. It's about you. What intelligent man? Let's find out how you got this intelligence. So do you? All of us in this room, do we have illusions?
Aren't your words illusions for us?
Huh?
Aren't your words illusions for us?
What?
Aren't your words illusions for us?
Words?
Aren't your words illusions for us?
That depends on you.
Isn't what you say an illusion for us?
If you accept it. But if you begin to question your illusions, not my illusions.
You don't talk about stopping your illusions or suppressing them, just questioning them.
Yes. If you suppress them, they'll pop up again. Like Kleenex.
If no.
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Isn't it true also that many of our illusions breed from our conditioning?
Yes.
And what I wonder is that, okay, this is just for myself only, that I've grown up with an exposure to what you've been saying since I've been a baby.
So, basically, as you said, does not do not all these illusions indicate our conditioning?
Yes, that's what I
Now,
was.
question your conditioning now.
Well, I think I
First,
have
look
a
at it
chance.
carefully. What's your conditioning?
I haven't had that religious or political conditioning.
No, you may
So
not have
I-
religious or political conditioning, but you are conditioned. Right? Question that. What do you mean by conditioning? What are you conditioned?
Conditioned by my own experience, even.
Yes,
Maybe
by
not
your,
even anything.
that's it. Then you begin to question your experience.
I'm trying. It's so difficult to
See?
separate it.
No. By questioning, not saying I'm right and wrong, right? By inquiring, exploring, your mind, which has become dull through conditioning, begins to quicken. Quicken, it becomes more alive. Now, will you all do this? You are here at Brockwood, not only to be academically excellent, but also psychologically supremely intelligent. Right?
That's an illusion.
Huh? What's that?
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion. We can only hope.
No. Now just listen. It is an illusion that you have to be academically good.
If you work hard enough, you can. If you work hard enough, you can be academically good.
You can be excellent academically, can't you? By studying.
Yes, but
Yes, very good. Right? Studying, applying, paying attention to your busy little books.
yeah, but some of it's interesting, so what's bad about it?
Huh?
Some of it's interesting. Some of the work that you do.
Yes, you have to be. Because that means if you are excellent academic, you may get a good job. Money. You have to earn. Now, Psychologically, can't you be supremely excellent? Which means you live intelligently, therefore there is never conflict and so on. I won't go into all that.
So we have to think about everything we do. I mean, all our reactions.
Yes, that's what you have to watch, what you think, why you think, why you have such emotions, why you separate yourself from, and so on. You become aware, you become sensitive, alive.
You try.
Yeah, I think we've all tried this. Most people in this room have actually tried it, but after a period of time, we forget about it. Caught up in
No.
it.
Can you forget hunger?
No,
You don't.
no, but becoming aware of.
No, don't go off. Can you forget danger? Hmm?
But that's all the
Wait,
result of
no,
the intelligence of the
Look at
body.
it over. Just wait a minute. Can you forget danger? So what? Why? Why don't you forget it? Question it. I'm questioning you and you're answering.
Well, you don't want to die. If you're pointing a gun at me, I'm gonna.
You know what danger is.
Yeah.
Do you forget it?
No,
Why
I think
not?
you do.
Huh?
I think you.
Okay, physical danger. I don't forget.
You what? Is not nationalism danger?
Yes, it is.
Huh? So you say no more. No, I'm not a nationalist. I don't belong to any country. That's a danger. Right? Why do you forget it? You can't.
But I do.
Huh?
I do.
You do?
Oh my God. This is all very difficult.
I know, no. You see, you are not questioning. You are saying something without. I'm asking you to question everything you do, think, ask.
But perhaps that's not possible with
Well,
my condition.
That's an excuse. You can question.
Sir, it seems the past year I've been really questioning everything I think. And sometimes I feel as though I'm just going in circles,
Of
just
course.
going within my
But you're
intellect.
not questioning thinking.
Well, I'm questioning that right now. I'm questioning that it seems within our intellect we try to become more aware of our thoughts, and it's like our thoughts are aware of our thoughts.
Yes, quite
and
right.
it's like
But you don't.
Just-
I begin to question nationalism, right?
Mhm.
Then I come to the point. I question my thinking. Thinking itself.
so it's like the intellect is only an instrument, and it's like it becomes sharper and sharper, and then to a certain point it just becomes there's nothing more you can do with it.
It becomes sharper and sharper. Therefore, at the end of it becomes dark.
I almost
And
begin
have
to
you
think that.
understood what I say? The more you sharpen an instrument, gradually it all becomes dark. Right? A chisel, keep on polishing, and you see it becomes dark. So, question why your mind is becoming dark, but merely going round and round.
Because it's all thought. It's
No, you're not questioning it. I get depressed. Suppose I do. I don't. I have no depression. I never have been depressed. Suppose I am depressed. I just say, yes, I'm very depressed. I accept it. I don't say, no, why am I depressed? Is it I'm thinking about myself? Is it can't get what I want? Is it somebody better than me? Somebody's more beautiful than me? Somebody's more rich and so on. Is that the reason why I'm depressed? Right? If I am, then I say, why am I doing this? You follow? Move. Right, sir? Are you doing it?
I think there must be a result decision from this questioning. So
You pardon?
I think there must be a result or decision from this very questioning. So shall we go on questioning this result? And
The questioning brings about a result.
Questioning becomes?
He says the questioning brings about a result. Should we question the result as well?
Of course.
and then when will we act?
You will stop questioning only when there is nothing more to question. That's not a clever statement, but see what happens. That when you begin to question seriously, step by step, then there is a point where there is only that state of mind that has no problems at all. I won't go into it. But you don't start. You want to reach the end, so beginning.
So do you feel that you can question it or just be aware of it?
Huh?
If you detest and then you should question it or just be aware of it.
Yes. I'm depressed, I told you. I want to know why I'm depressed. I don't see yes, I'm depressed. I said, why am I depressed? Is it I've eaten wrongly? I've not slept properly? Or I'm depressed because I can't get what I want? Or I am not as good as you, or I'm not as clever as you. Right? Which means I'm always comparing. Why do I compare? Is it possible not to compare? See, I'm questioning all this. Can I live without comparison?
If we ask continually why, can't that process just reinforce
Of course,
that whole
that's
ego
how
thing
we
that
do
we're
it.
trying to question?
Yeah, of course. That's why I'm saying it must be done with intelligence. So you begin with the most ordinary things.
And the intelligence to be on that.
Huh?
We try to get intelligence and we have to use our intelligence to get the intelligence. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
It's that.
Exactly.
That's the problem. It's turning around.
Because
It's like what intelligence are you talking about? I mean, the description of intelligence we understand is that intelligence is not limited by thought or experience. So how can I use the intelligence I have right now that's limited by thought and experience? I mean, it seems so.
no, have you got
futile.
intelligence now?
I think I do sometimes. Yes.
Not
But I
sometimes.
can't say that I do.
You see, you make now. Why don't you question that? Have you got intelligence now?
I don't think I do. No.
No. So
Not
begin.
the intelligence that I want to have.
So begin. Say, are you nationalistic? Are you seeking safety in your little family? Seeking security in your ideas? Seeking So I'm doing all the questions. You're not.
What if you seek security in some things but not in others?
Huh?
What if you seek security in some things but not in other things?
Yes. So what do you seek security in? In your looks? In your family? In some God? In some illusion? See, Andrew. So what I'm pointing out very simply is most of us are so conditioned, right, that we become very dull. We repeat what somebody has said. Or we read greatly and be very knowledgeable, but you may be stupid. So I say, find out for yourself what is intelligence. And you can find out that by asking, questioning, doubting. You can't doubt everything. There is electricity. That light is there. You can't doubt it. Right? The tree. You can't doubt it. It's there. Right? The governments are there. The policeman is there. All the churches, all the things in the churches are there. So you begin to question. Huh?
Also, your anxiety is there.
Come on?
Your anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yes, for the scientists.
You said your anxiety.
What?
Anxiety.
Anxiety, all right. Question anxiety. Why are you anxious? Majority of people are anxious, right? Because they have no money. Or they're anxious their husband may be looking at somebody else. Right? The anxiety. Are you anxious? Any of you? Huh? You are anxious? Why? Huh?
Because of different things.
Tell me why.
The desperateness for security it's very possible that the atmosphere of questioning is not there. That's why.
Tunki, I can't hear you.
The desperation, the desperate search
Huh?
what he says is the desperate search for security prevents actual questioning.
Yes, sir.
So how can a person come
When
out?
just a minute, Tunki. When I'm very anxious, I can't question, right? But then I begin, there must be, I'm not anxious all the time. There is anxiety when I wake up. And as I take my coffee or tea, whatever it is, that anxiety recedes a little bit. Then I begin to question.
In this questioning of why, would it not be important to question without trying to find an answer? It seems like if we try to find an answer, we just give ourselves excuses for
Of
what we
course,
are.
that's what, when you question, find an answer, question that answer. You follow yourself, learn the art. It's not just that you begin to question everything, learn the art of questioning. When you stop questioning sometimes, say, but why am I questioning? Look, without questioning. You follow, learn about it.
And people become discouraged with their questioning because they don't get something from
Yes,
it.
sir. They get discouraged, disappointed, hurt.
Because they want something that'll give them security.
Yeah. Or I've been secure, but you're taking it away from me. I become anxious. What I'm, sir, just 2 minutes, just listen. Will you? I saw that ticket, that sticker on the bumper in California. And I said, I wondered, the gentleman or the person who put that sticker on the bumper really questions. Or it's just a slogan. You understand what I'm saying? It's just a slogan, and But he never questions. He said, why am I doing this? Why am I thinking this? Why do I believe? So, questioning is a great art. Right? See the depth of it. And the beauty of inquiry, see bit by bit how extraordinarily complex this thing is. Why man has lived in illusions for thousands of years. If it's not Christian gods, then there is Muslim gods. Right? If it isn't that, there have been gods by the thousand for the last 5,000 years and more. Some people, like the Buddhists, deny God. But there's always this search, longing for something beyond all this misery. Right? All this conflict, all this ugliness in the world. So they invent something and they worship it. You understand?
Like enlightenment.
Yeah, quite right. Enlightenment is not something you experience or something that somebody gives it to you. That's not something. No. So, as I say, find out
what is human potential? Just how far can it take us? What if I were to tell you that the purpose of our highest potential is to transcend limited thinking and bring it into superhuman or cosmic consciousness? Hi, I'm Ben Stewart. Welcome to the nexus point between your old life and your new self. In this series, we will be unlocking the deepest mysteries of our human potential. And as with all great journeys, we will begin with the unparalleled power of the question mark. Just what are we capable of?
Yeah, tell me.
When you look at yourself in the mirror, do you see that which you are right now, the finished product, no more, no less? Or do you see that which you are capable of becoming? The only thing standing between you, who and what you are now, and a future filled with unlimited possibilities is a belief that you hold about you and the world that you live in. So when I say the words full potential or peak potential, what does that conjure up in your mind? What do you think of? Do you think of the people that can lift the heaviest weights, run the fastest, jump the highest, hold their breath the longest? What about withstanding the most extreme conditions? Or super memory, super recall, the ability to read faster than anybody else? Are these the things you think of? And mind you that everything that I've just mentioned are truly the outward or more masculine qualities. What about the feminine qualities? The ones that are more hidden, such as intuition, grace in the face of great adversity, compassion when it's needed most, and fertility, being pregnant with possibility. These are less measurable and so less talked about, but they're just as, if not more, important in the path of our greatest potential. So I liken our human potential with a seed or a plant. Once the conditions are set, enough food, water, light, it will simply grow. No force required. In fact, force will only hinder it. So are the conditions for your potential to grow set? And if not, what's holding you back? Are there people, forces, situations, vows and commitments that you've made, a form of self-sabotage that you engage in that holds you back from what you could become? So I'll ask you one more question. The word impossible, what does it mean to you? If you think of it, this word will inscribe itself into your brain and into your behavior. So be very careful of how you define that word. Now, the brain isn't the only and most important organ that we have, but it is the one that neuroscientists and modern science seems to focus on the most. So let's just start right there. The brain. 2 hemispheres and 3 lobes, very uniquely set up. And even though there's been a little bit of a myth in the past that the right hemisphere is completely creative and the left hemisphere is totally logical, this has been dispelled to a bit, but neuroimaging has helped us see that we do have 2 distinct brains and they think distinctly different. So now let's take a look at a series called Steps Away from the Future. This episode, called The Hidden Side of the Brain, will show you something about the evolution of our brain that you may not have known.
Of course, talking about the left side and the right side of the brain is a simplification. Our brain isn't a map, as people used to assume naively in the last century. It's characterized by an astonishing plasticity, which localizes on the right side of the brain functions that are on the left side in other people. Nevertheless, in most cases, the functions of analysis and logical reasoning are on the left, whereas visual and intuitive functions are on the right. There's a snowstorm on the little city of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. This is where Dr. Daryl Treffert lives. This psychiatrist has dedicated 40 years of his life to the savant syndrome.
We are a left hemisphere society. We depend on our left hemisphere. It serves us well. Logical, sequential thinking, language, things that have served us well. They serve us so well that we begin to use only that well-worn pathway, sort of to the neglect of the rest of the brain, the right hemisphere. Yeah, some people call that the tyranny of the left hemisphere.
Now, the human brain went from 1,440 grams, about 150,000 years ago, and then it put it into reverse and brought it back to 1,300 grams, meaning our brain has shrunk in the past 150,000 years. So the question we must ask ourselves is why? There's a book called Return to the Brain of Eden by Tony Wright and Graham Ginn, and they've done amazing work looking at just this question. In this book, they also talk about savant syndrome, the amazing ability for our brain to be able to incur some kind of a damage, and then the healthy parts of the brain take over those functionalities. These savants actually have a gift that no one else has. Now we're going to go back to Steps Away from the Future and that episode, The Hidden Side of the Brain, because they dive a little bit deeper into the savant syndrome.
Kim Peek was the inspiration for the movie Rain Man, and I was a consultant to the movie, and that's where we first met. Kim is what I call the Mount Everest of memory. He has memorized 12,000 books, word for word. He has a factual memory within 15 areas of expertise that simply history, biography, the Bible, you simply cannot stump him. And one of the most amazing things about him is that he reads so quickly. He reads one page with one eye and he reads the other page with the other eye and immediately goes to his hard disk and it's stored there. I keep saying at some point the image has to come up disk full, but it never does.
The human brain is divided into 2 hemispheres and they have 2 very different functions. And so this is a human brain. And so you're looking now at the external surface of the brain. This is the left hemisphere, this is the right hemisphere. And you can see here that they're divided into 2 halves. And the 2 hemispheres process different kinds of information in different ways. So the right hemisphere is all about experiencing the present moment. It's all about right here, right now. In the right here, right now, there are no boundaries. Everything is perceived as energy. And so the atoms and molecules just experience the energy and they blend with one another so that there's the big picture vision. So the right hemisphere thinks in pictures and it's all about the right here, right now. The left hemisphere takes that present moment experience and then breaks it down into details. And part of the details is our language, our ability to speak, our ability to make sound, our ability to place meaning on that sound. And part of that sound is my ability to say, I am. I am an individual. And as soon as I say I am, then I exist separate from all of the energy around me. So the two hemispheres work together in order for us to have a single perception of reality.
And so there is that huge store of material in all of us. And the question is, how can we access that without having an injury or some kind of central nervous system catastrophe? And that's where our research is leading us these days.
The process of neuroplasticity is the ability for our brain and certain regions of it to adopt functions of the injured portions of the brain. But without injury, you can still prompt neuroplasticity, which is the restructuring of your brain, simply by things like new and novel forms of moving the body, outside the box ways of thinking, and also syncing the body and mind very intelligently. And these are ways that without injury, we can actually prompt neuroplasticity, the restructuring of our brain. There's even tasks like using your less dominant hand to write, to brush your teeth, open doors with, shake hands with, even using your less dominant foot to kick or jump or take your first step with. These things prompt neuroplasticity. But the question I have for you now is, how far can neuroplasticity truly take us? Let's take a look at a film called Sonic Magic, The Wonder of Science and Sound.
Bats actually see with sound.
Perhaps even more astonishing is the fact that some humans are able to do the same thing.
We've got a tree here. I'll turn here.
By 13 months of age, Daniel Kish had lost both eyes to a cancer called retinoblastoma. Instinctively, he soon began to make clicking sounds and started to echolocate just like bats do. Those clicks you hear are from his mouth, not the tapping of his cane.
Big open area, but we're approaching a structure.
He calls this flash sonar. Flash sonar has become Kish's primary means of navigation.
So in my case, it wasn't something I was really aware of. It just happened as a consequence of my childhood experiences. I get an image that occurs in a 360-degree field.
The roof structure we're under isn't totally solid somehow. It's got openings in it as if it were slatted or...
I describe them as fuzzy geometry, moving, dynamic figures. They have depth and contour and character, and they provide me with information about location, density, and you can also kind of hear things around corners, and you can hear things through objects. So, you know, it almost has this kind of omnipresence about it.
If your brain can be so quiet, without a single thought.
As a kid, I wasn't raised to think of myself as pretty unremarkable. My parents, their emphasis, their regard for me was you're a kid like any other kid.
We asked him to draw a picture, to recreate from memory the image he got from nothing more than the sound of clicks.
I'll just do a little dashed line here.
And remember, he had never set foot in this pavilion before today.
And then we had another column kind of across the way here, definitely taxing my artistic merits here. Should I say ta-da? Ta-da!
The accuracy of the image is uncanny.
It shows that there's an actual imaging process taking place. You're using sound instead of light to create a picture.
We are truly adaptable creatures. I think that's what this video showed me. And Daniel Kish is one of the best examples of this. He didn't injure his brain, he injured his eyes, yet his brain still adapted. He received the gift that most anybody in the world will never receive, simply because the conditions arose and he said yes to the challenge. So now I want to ask you that first question again. What does impossible mean to you? And are you willing to believe that you can't do something if you've never tried it? I want to bring your attention to some people who have overcome extreme adversity. One of them is Viktor Frankl. In World War II, he was experimented on and tortured. In many ways, all the people around him that were healthier, stronger, smarter, all of their life expectancies were dropping to zero, and many of them were dying. They couldn't fathom the amount of pain that they were under. But Viktor survived. He did so, and he said later why he believes he survived such incredible atrocities. And it was because he knew that he must tell people about his journey. He had some work to do in the future. This gave him purpose that superseded all of the pain and the suffering he was going through. Viktor is quoted as saying, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Another example is Stephen Hawking. He had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, a British scientist with amazing accomplishments. He fathered children. He authored many very pivotal scientific books, all without the use of his body. Then there's Frida Kahlo, stricken with polio at an early age, suffered a very severe car accident, and had chronic pain in her back for the rest of her life, in a way that most people would be bedridden, but not Frida. She knew she had to paint. She knew she had to express herself. So she did, and she became a renowned painter. Then there's Helen Keller, born deaf and blind, and despite these setbacks, despite two of her greatest sense organs being taken from her from birth, she still authored about 400 articles, several books, was involved in women's rights and politics. And even Albert Einstein, thought to have dyslexia and maybe even Asperger's, didn't speak until the age of 4. Although he is one of the most celebrated scientific minds in history, he is quoted as saying, "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life believing that it is stupid." Side note, none of these individuals went down in history as the people with poor luck. They are known for incredible accomplishments. Now I want to bring it deeper. The shamans, stories of shamans that go back many, many thousands of years. Many of these stories actually begin when the shaman suffered some kind of an injury or had a fever that prompted innate capacities to come out that they never knew they had. So by taking a look at these stories, were these individuals just the crazy people in the society? Not the shamans. The shamans were looked at as one of the most respected and heralded positions in any tribe. The information that they would bring back to the tribe was so useful that they were one of the most respected roles you could imagine in any tribe. And one hallmark of shamans is entering an altered state. One of the biggest ways they did this was through the use of psychedelic plants. Now we're going to take a look at a Gaia original series called Psychedelica.
One of the fundamental effects of psychedelics is to integrate material that's normally not accessible to consciousness. And the fundamental way in which psychedelics make this information available is by a destabilizing of what's called the default mode network. This part of the brain that integrates our sense of self, our autobiographical memories, and our reflection upon our lives. So basically what's happening under psychedelics is a liberation of the parts of the brain, that 80 or 90% of the brain that they say we don't use. We use it, but we're just not able to access it. Psychedelics give us access to that unconscious.
The language facility in the brain is destabilized as well. So the combination of our self-identity and our language being put off balance by simply ingesting a plant gives rise to the ineffability of the experience. Just as we see with any mystical or spiritual experience, words are not enough to communicate the magnitude of the experience.
I want to reiterate what Michael Winkelmann said right there. 80 to 90% of our brains that we're not accessing. Now this brings up a myth, And the myth is that we only use 10% of our brains. But that's talking about neural activity. It's not talking about potential. And this is where the myth comes in, because George Leonard actually explains in the 1960s, he researched 37 psychiatrists, brain researchers, and specialists on the topic of human potential. And he said not one of them were quoted as saying that we use more than 10% of our power, our ability to learn and perform calculating and creative cognitive tasks. George Leonard wrote a book called Mastery. And he says, we fail to realize that mastery is not about perfection. It's about a process, a journey. And the master is the one who stays on the path day after day, year after year. The master is the one who is willing to try and fail and try again for as long as he or she lives. So now I want to ask you again, a question that I asked you before. What is holding you back from the rest of your potential? And if you keep going beneath all the layers, deeper and deeper, you'll come to realize what most people come to realize when they ask these questions. And that's the only thing holding you back is you. Author and podcaster Tim Ferriss said that fear is your friend. It is an indicator. Oftentimes it will show you what you shouldn't do, but more often than not, it shows you what you should do. Meaning that there's a gift hidden, encrypted inside all of our fears. And instead of running from them, ignoring them, pushing them away, actually embracing them, facing them, and seeing what they have to say is where the true gift lies. I personally believe that we are not held back by conditions or principles of the universe, as much as we are held back by a lack of imagination and a lack of clarity on what we truly want to work towards in our lives. We know that the power of belief is something that is talked about, sometimes is exaggerated about, but the placebo effect is one example of the incredible power of the mind and belief. We know that all pharmaceutical trials have to set up and beat the placebo effect in order to go to market. And we give all the credit to the pharmaceuticals, but we don't give any credit to the placebo effect, the power of belief. And the reductionists and the scientists may scoff at this and say that we exaggerate a little bit too much. But if something works, it simply works. And the power of belief does just that. We're living in a very unique world, one that we scarcely understand. Even the scientists will agree on this. Albert Einstein, who we already mentioned, one of the most celebrated scientific minds in all of history, is quoted as saying that time and space are modes by which we think and not conditions in which we live. Think about that. That's a powerful statement. One of the fathers of modern science saying that time and space are not conditions outside of us, but modes by which we think. And thinking can be changed. At the same time that Albert Einstein fathered one branch of science, being modern physics, another branch was birthed. And this is the branch of quantum physics and quantum mechanics. And Niels Bohr said that if quantum mechanics has not profoundly shocked you, then you haven't understood it yet. Now, in this series, we will go deeper into the quantum phenomena and the implications that it has on our path towards our potential. But for now, just realize that there is a world beneath this world. The fabric of our reality is much more peculiar than we've thought. This fabric responds to our thinking. It engages with our consciousness, and it exists all around us. So where do we begin in such a weird and trippy world? Well, humbly, I believe we begin right where we're at, no more, no less, by removing the obstacles that we have placed in our own way. Aeschylus, a Greek playwright, said that from a small seed, a mighty trunk may grow. So that seed of your potential will grow into a mighty tree that can withstand thousands of storms. This potential exists within you right now. So what I'm asking of you is to see more in that mirror than just the flesh and blood staring back at you. I want you to remember that you are far more than you've ever considered. You are actually your entire impact upon this planet. This is why the Native American Indians, when their council would sit and speak about the future of their tribe, they had one credo that they would adhere to most of all. They said, in our every deliberation, we must consider the impact that our decisions will have upon the next 7 generations. Meaning long after you're gone, your impact on this world will still be ringing. So instead of just leaving you with a bunch of intellectual, conceptual ideas to toss around, I want to leave you with some real practical tips and tools that you can take and employ right now. On a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down some things that you feel are impossible for you right now. Things like, it's impossible for me to run a mile or get married. Meditate for a moment on what you've written. Then on the right side of the page, write down the first solution you think of for each of these doubts. Be practical. Try to stick as close to the things that are just out of reach instead of finding the most extreme examples of impossibility. We're not claiming to be superheroes just yet. And throughout the week, come back to this list and reevaluate your doubts and see day by day how they change. If you employ these tips just a few times before you see me next, you will begin to demystify what you believe is impossible and hopefully have realized that it is only your doubts that keep you from living to your full potential. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time on Limitless. What if your highest potential lies dormant within your body? Today we're talking about the human riddle. Because truly, how can you know what you're capable of if you don't even know who and what you are? The human species is a mystery to us. All of our modern science, all of our advancements have led us to the place where we're still not agreeing on what consciousness truly is.
So they're back out on the streets and they're not working.
In some ways, the very instrument we're using to answer that question is consciousness itself, meaning all the tools and the technologies that we use to answer these questions are technologies to peer directly back into ourselves. We are the mystery, all the way down to the human body and the language that it speaks to us with. Yes, it does speak to us, and it speaks through our human behavior, as well as our spirit, which doesn't speak to us directly through our body, but really read between the lines of all the behaviors that we display through our entire lives. So let's begin with the body. Why is there no manual? Why is there no guidebook to tell us exactly what this language of the body truly means? And I believe it's because we are not a commodity or some product that comes with some kind of owner's manual. We are a riddle. We're meant to seek the answer to our own existence. Our body is always speaking with us. We have chemical messengers that are always going through our bloodstream. We have electromagnetic impulses going through our neurons. We have postures that we hold. We have behaviors and movements that we display. And all of this has very valuable information for us. But we typically don't listen to it. And we outsource what this riddle is. We outsource our questions about this language to the doctors and the scientists that are out there today. And one reason why I believe that modern science is missing a huge part of this puzzle is because they are only looking at the averages, the numbers, the measurable spaces of what the body is saying. So if you go to the doctor and they tell you you have too high of cholesterol or too high of blood pressure. What does this really mean? What is it saying? Because what is normal for me may not be normal for you, and vice versa. So to truly get at the heart of the human riddle, we need to go deeper than just science. And this is why today, to answer this riddle, we need to bring into question who we are and why we're here. So let's hear from Neil Kramer in The Initiation to a Mystical Life.
The physical world is a phantom, a holographic representation of something else. Nothing can be taken at face value. Nothing can be taken as it is. At its very core, the essence of life is mysterious, mysterious by design. The mystery is the teacher. The mind can be programmed by ourselves to encounter the world more accurately, more openly.
So Neil Kramer said that the mystery is the teacher. That's very beautiful, because when looking at the body and the mysteries that it presents us, just the outer form is the beginning or the tip of the iceberg. If you were to open up the body and take a look at all the different compartments, all the different organs and components, all the different cells, all the different life forms that are in there, the systems that come together in harmony, so we can have this experience saying, this is me choosing to be here, making these decisions right now. It's truly incredible. And we also have trillions of bacterial and fungal cells inside of our body that have DNA that is not human, but they still influence us. They still speak with us. They add to the overall language of the body. So what do all of these components in our body have in common? The language of chemistry. Let's just take a look at a chemical compound. Chemical compounds are many different elements bonded together in a configuration. And this configuration is much like a key. It fits into a receptor site that our body is equipped with. These receptor sites only allow those chemical compounds in. And when they do, they unlock biological processes within us. Now let's go even deeper into chemical compounds. Because if you see all the little elements that make up that compound, every one of them has an atomic weight or a resonant frequency, meaning a pitch or a tone that they hit. But since there are many elements, these are many tones happening at the same time, structurally bound with one another. This to me sounds like music inside the body. When a symphony or a chord is struck, the body changes its composition and goes into different modes, if you will. But what makes the peaceful balance of our body go haywire? I believe that it's our modern lifestyle and the stressors that come with the type of society and culture we live in today. These stressors are things that our ancestors never had to deal with. These are stressors like being in the car, in traffic, late for work, or the fear of losing our job, or not having enough money, the fear of not being a good enough parent or lover or human being. These are simply perceptions. They're not real threats, but our body still responds in that way. So let's go deeper. How do our perceptions truly affect our body? Let's see what the experts in the film Emotion have to say about this.
Now, when we react to conditions in our life, there is an emotional component that begins to create chemistry in our bodies because the body is interpreting an emergency situation.
Whenever you see something, because the brain works in pictures, there's a response to that image of the sensory impact. If you hear a sound that sounds dangerous, your body, your brain will create an emotional molecule to get you to respond to that.
And so the mind does its work very, very quickly. And based on the data that it is receiving, it forms a truth about the present memory or experience. Based on that truth, it comes up with a thought that tells the self about that memory or experience. And based on that thought, we generate what we believe is the appropriate emotion to match that thought.
And as a result, our heart rate increases, our immune system suppresses, we become more anxious because we're not in our fullest potential in the moment. The core of every symptom, stress, and disease are emotions and memories, traumatic perceptions that are buried in our subconscious mind.
So I want to remind you what the host said there. He said if we're not living in our full potential, then our immune system is compromised, meaning baseline health, that standard that we would like to have throughout our lives, comes from living to our full potential. So why is this not the case today in modern society? I'm going to give you an example of a modern stressor and compare it to an ancient one. Let's imagine somebody almost gets into a car accident. They're fine, but they need to pull over the car and process what's just happened. These tiny little adrenal glands on top of our kidneys start pumping out a chemical compound or a song called adrenaline. And what this chemical does inside the body is it shuts down all the biological processes that do not need to be there for us to fight or flight. Now, this is a natural response. This goes all the way back to the gazelle on the plains being chased by a cheetah. So the response is very unique and it's very specific to having this fear that we almost got injured. But what happens in the distinction between the gazelle on the plains and us in the car is that the gazelle, assuming that it gets to safety, will go into a tremoring state. It will begin shaking its body until it's done, and then it'll get up and move on. Why does it do this unique dance? Sometimes we see people tremoring and shaking after a scary incident, but it doesn't always happen. So let's take a look deeply inside the body at what's happening when this gazelle goes into that tremoring fit. All of the adrenaline that was pumped out into the body, into the tissues, begins to move itself. Because of the shaking, it starts to process, move itself into the bladder, where it can be eliminated from the body. But if you're simply sitting in your car and you choose to call someone or drive that 15 minutes home and talk to somebody and process it intellectually, this may be good, but it's not processing what's happening to the body. The author Bradford Keeney wrote a book called Shaking Medicine.